Hey guys, thanks for joining me for this 85th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests on this episode include Willie and Korie Robertson. They've got the new Facebook Watch series, At Home with the Robertsons. We'll also visit with country singer and songwriter Donny Lee. We'll talk about his new single, Got Me This Far. He'll even play it for us. We'll also talk about upcoming music, tour dates, and more. You can check him out online and all the socials at Donny Lee Music and the website donnyleemusic.com. Of course, if you would, please take the time to subscribe, comment, leave some feedback, check out the shop, and of course, share with your friends. Now, finding a job that you love is tough. Now, finding a job that you love that pays well, that's even harder, but not impossible. Now, the job site Zippia.com posted a list of 5 jobs that pay well. They offer a great work-life balance and rank high in employee satisfaction. Number 1, human resource managers. Now, they're in high demand in almost every industry. And it depends on where you live, but the average salary nationwide is $115,000. Number 2, engineers. Now, according to a few studies, engineers are among the happiest people in the world. The average salary of $90,000, that doesn't hurt either. Number 3, physical therapist. Now, it's another job that's in high demand, and they make around $90,000 a year, and doing something that helps heal people, it's very rewarding. Number 4, construction managers. They rank high in overall happiness, so maybe spending all that time outside helps. They make an average of $95,000 a year. And number 5, finance managers. Now, it's a stressful job, but they still report high levels of positivity. And they have the highest salary on the list at $130,000 a year. Now, they also did a list of entry-level jobs that make people happy. They include teaching assistants, marketing specialists, athletic trainers, and nurses. Willie and Korie Robertson on the line with us. First off, guys, thank you so much for taking the time.
Hey there, thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
Now tell us, as the pandemic went on, was that what brought the Facebook Watch series At Home with the Robertsons? Is that what got the ball rolling with that, Willie?
Well, no, it was actually we were talking about the show before doing it. Then when the pandemic hit, it kept getting delayed, and it just kept marinating more and more. We kept talking about how we were going to do it, and it didn't even start out where we were going to talk about really controversial things. That kind of came on because we kind of saw in America where we felt like we needed to just maybe do it a different way, as far as converse with one another. And it seemed like everybody's just fighting and getting in each other's camps and lobbing missiles at each other. And so we thought, well, what if we had someone in our home, and maybe even someone you would think we would disagree with, and when they walk in your door and you invite them in, it's a whole different vibe, and so you seem to where you can have a conversation and talk and and really focus in on what you have in common with each other, not just the things that we disagree on. And people would leave, and we may still disagree, but we made friends, and really everybody that came through, we were friends with, and so yeah.
It's a novel concept, being able to disagree and still be friends, right, Korie?
Yeah, that doesn't seem to happen that much anymore. Yeah, especially with what I think is interesting too is that we're doing it on Facebook because social media gets this rap, which is rightly earned, that you can friend and unfriend and block and just say the hateful things behind your computer. And we've certainly seen some of that in the comment section under our show. But, that's the thing. I think even in any space, like it is what we do with it. And as people, if we can come to social media or whatever from a place of saying hey, what are the ways that we're alike? What are the things we can agree on? And we've got some big problems in this world, but we're certainly not going to solve them by yelling at each other and making you the other. We're going to solve them by sitting around a table and having a conversation and trying to figure it out together.
And for you, Willie, what has been the biggest takeaway you take from this last year? Is it the ability for us to all be united, if that's even a possibility?
Well, we've got to try. I think we're trying to do something and make a difference. And this, as far as from the show, what's interesting for us was actually because our kids are on it a lot, and these are these tough conversations, we're having them anyway. It's not like we can avoid them. And it was interesting to hear their takes and what they, our kids are older now, they're in college or married, and, and getting their takes and how they're seeing the world and how they deal with these issues and what they think. And so sometimes I'd be surprised at what they would say. I thought, wow, I didn't know that, that's what you thought. And even Korie and I, we disagree all the time, on politics and other things. We would hash it out ourselves, and even the crew, like we would disagree on things. So it's just I like the debate, and I feel like that's kind of what we've lost in this country is just literally just debating, debating a topic and not, getting so snarky with each other and angry.
And along those lines, I know today's episode, How Well Do You Know Your Partner? And Korie, give our listeners a little bit what to expect from the new episode.
So this week we had Tim Tebow and his wife Demi in, and we talked about, first year of marriage, because we've got our daughter getting married very soon, and she's young, and so she's had lots of comments on her social media of like, oh, you're getting married so young and all that. So we talked about newlywed life and marriage and all that, and then on today's episode we actually played a little kind of newlywed game. And so we got to know how well each of our kids knew their spouses and how well Willie and I know each other, which was a lot of fun. And I got to tell you, it got a little competitive.
Willie, whenever she started talking about that, it didn't seem like you held the same level of excitement about the game time.
Well, I'm definitely competitive, and it was interesting how Korie and I, when we were talking about questions from the past, we've literally forgotten everything. I guess we've been married so long, so it was easy for the kids. They're talking about their first dates and all this stuff, and I can't even remember all that stuff. But then we shifted the game a little bit, and then we started coming on strong at the end. So.
I will say, Willie learned one thing. This is a spoiler alert, though, but Willie learned that he was more high maintenance.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, somehow I came out of it. They called me high maintenance, which I still don't believe I am. So.
Now, you talk about the way times have changed, and how are you guys transitioning not only from married partners to parents, now a whole new generation of Robertsons, and Willie and Korie, which one of you guys is having the hardest time with that?
Yeah, we are now K-Mama and Dubs. We're grandparents now. We have 4 little grandbabies, and it honestly has been so much fun. I think it's been better than we expected. Everyone lives close, so we get to spend a lot of time with our grandbabies, and we're enjoying it. Willie's the granddad that puts them on the Polaris and straps them around. And
throw them around. And every time I start doing stuff, everybody gets anxious.
Now, as the seasons and the series progresses, what are some of the goals that you guys have set moving on through the rest of 2021 and on into 2022 as well?
Yeah, I think it's really just about kind of doing what we've been doing, having people in our home and enjoying good conversation and showing them a little bit of Louisiana. That's been a fun part of it too. We've gotten to take them crawfishing or mud digging and kind of some of the fun things, skeet shooting, some of the fun things we get to do down here. So yeah. Doing more of that, more family time. Yeah. We love our family. We, love to have meals together, and a lot of that stuff that you saw on Duck Dynasty, we still do, of course. This is who we are. And, that's kind of our plan.
That's good stuff. Now, Willie and Korie, I always want to make sure and let folks know not only where they can find more information about the series, but everything you guys have got going social media-wise as well.
Great. Yeah, you can find me. I'm Boss Hogg's wife on Instagram, or Korie Robertson on Facebook. Willie is Willie Boss Hogg on Instagram, and Willie Robertson on Facebook. And we pretty much keep everybody up with what's going on in our life, which I think that's a lot of fun. That's been a fun space for us, and we've had so much support. We just had our daughter Sadie just had a baby, and it's so fun seeing all the congratulations. And it was like everyone was on baby watch. Like all of our fans were like, has she had her yet? Has she had her yet? So that's been fun, and we feel the love and the support.
That's awesome. And yeah, my daughter and I been following Sadie as well. And the question after she found out that the baby was here, she said, well, now it's time for her to write a new book. So there you got that.
Well, she's actually working on that.
She's working on a book. Yep.
There you go.
That's awesome. Well, Willie, Korie, I truly appreciate you guys taking some time to be on. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and look forward to catching up again real soon, guys.
Thank you
so much.
Allergies aren't just annoying, they also hit you where it hurts. That's in your wallet. A new poll found that 49% of Americans suffer from seasonal allergies. And over the course of your life, you'll spend more than 16 grand dealing with them. Now, the average person with allergies spends $266 a year on pills and other treatments. That's about $22 a month, or $16,146 over the course of your life if you live the average age of 78. 36% of people say their allergies have been worse this year, 26% said better, and 39% said, about the same. The poll also found almost half of people have confused their allergy symptoms with COVID since the pandemic started. Our final guest on the podcast today, an opportunity for me to get introduced to him. Going to introduce him to you as well. Country singer, songwriter, a little bit of everything. We'll talk to Donny Lee. And first off, Donny, thank you for taking the time to be on, brother.
Hey, man, it cracks me up every time I get on one of these interviews, because really the thanks goes out to you guys. You're out there supporting and playing the music, and I mean that sincerely, so thank you.
Well, when you got a song like you've got out there right now, I mean, the first time I listened to it, it kind of dug into me. And for you, I mean, that's got to be the feedback that you've been getting anyway, right?
Yeah, it's the feedback. It's not the same feeling I get, though. When I hear myself, it's like nails on a chalkboard. But yeah, that is definitely the feedback that I get.
Now, tell our listeners a little bit where the inspiration for the song came from. I mean, I could tell from listening to it, but I'd love to hear what the artist and songwriter have to say about it.
So it's a song that when I sat down and heard it for the very first time, this one was pitched to me. It wasn't one that I wrote, but it was one that right away I feel like I could have wrote, because it speaks the language the way that I speak. It's a story that I would tell, and the simple lesson in all of it is never forget all of the things that got you to be who you are, where you stand today. That could be good, that could be bad, that could be all of the above, but it's all of the lessons in life and all of the sacrifices and all the hard work and everything, no matter how you want to spin it. Don't give up on things that got me this far.
And what was your original thought whenever that one was pitched to you?
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit of a fan of muscle cars and stuff like that. Maybe not as much American muscle as I am, just love Corvettes and stuff like that. And when I heard the first line and it said, there's a hand-me-down super sport Chevelle, immediately my wife and I said, there's a video. So we did. We recorded a video for this song, and it's very COVID friendly, by the way. It's basically just me in a super sport Chevelle ripping all over the place. And it's a great video. But really, when it gets down to, some of the lines in there, you don't throw away a diamond because it's got some dust on it. You never trade in a classic because it's got a little rust. It's true. Sometimes we're all fascinated by the beauty of everything brand new, but there's just a story to tell behind everything that's classic, that's vintage, that's whatever it is. And immediately I had to listen to the song a few times because I got so intrigued by the visual of the song that I wasn't really just listening to I don't know. And that's what it takes. Cause we write a lot and we get a lot of songs pitched to us and all that stuff, but, they all start to sound the same after a while. You know what I mean? And this one just wasn't that song. And it was the first, song that we recorded on this new project. We've since recorded 4 more. We've got another 4 that we're ready to go back into the studio with, but we're just proud that this was the first one on that project.
What's the process been like this last 12 months? The songwriting and all that. I mean, what's the biggest thing that you've had to learn?
How not to be on stage 300 shows a year.
That was a painful one.
Yeah, but I'm a glass half full kind of guy, to be real. And I had, it took me about 3 or 4 months. And my family and we just took the RV and we just went out to the lake and we just hung out. You obviously had to, all the social distancing, and nobody was seeing anybody or anything, but, taught the kids how to parallel park, went out and did a bunch of fishing. We got to run around in the skid steer and clean up the property a little bit and, stuff like that, and just hang out. It was just a really much needed. I don't like the way that it happened. I don't like, the things that came from this as far as businesses failing and,
right.
People filing bankruptcy and depression and stuff. But for me, glass half full, it was the most quality family time I've had in a long time.
And you mentioned something that I had to go through as well with my now 16-year-old, parallel parking. Was that the worst of pandemic for you?
No, not at all. Although there's another music video for that. If I would have got some good video of that my kids would probably disown me. But no, it was pretty cool. We set up some picnic tables and put out some pine cones and pylons and things like that, and just kind of set up a little thing for them to do, and they actually did really well with it.
Now, when you first got introduced to music, was it always country in your roots? Was there ever anything else that really had your heart?
No. I mean, I am a fan of music, and I will hear something out there. I was telling people were saying your bucket list. Who would you like to see in concert that you haven't seen? And the truth is, I've seen everybody in country music. I don't think there's anybody I haven't seen. And other than, my first concert I ever saw was either, and I can't remember which order it was, I think Conway Twitty.
Wow.
And the second one was George Jones.
Wow.
So just imagine where country music started with me. Like it was right at the very, very beginning. And, if I was to, my mom and I, both growing up, really enjoyed the artistry of Barbra Streisand. So for Mom and I to go to a concert and see one of only 100 shows that she's actually only performed less than 100 concerts in her life, if you can believe that. I would love to go check out a Bruno Mars or, Maroon 5 or somebody like that, I got my Def Leppard shirt on today, and my wife and I had tickets. They just canceled it, but we were going to go see Motley Crue and Def Leppard and all those guys playing here in Nashville, but they ended up rescheduling it. But to answer your question, no. I mean, I am a fan of other types of music, but wholeheartedly from the beginning, it was country music.
Now, when did you start writing your first song? How old were you whenever you sat down and were like, I got something I got to say here? Sure.
My first song I recorded was one that I wrote in, it wasn't the first song I wrote. It was the first song I wrote and recorded. I would have been 17. And I played in a band. We put out a 4-song cassette tape.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't tell all these parts of the story. It's kind of giving away my age. Mind you, I was 3 years old when I started touring.
Yeah, so, there you go.
I had a cassette tape, and one of the songs on there I had wrote with a guitar player in the band. And then, since then I get, I wrote a song here and there. My wife actually pulled one out of the, I didn't realize it, but, I'd get into habit and I would write a song and I'd throw it in the garbage. Cause I just, no. And she actually pulled one out that I recorded about 18 years ago, and she said, "Hey, I still got it." And I'm like, "What?" But most of the writing I do is collaborating with my wife, Shauna. She comes up with an idea. She gets them all the time. She'll wake up in the middle of the night and grab her recorder and just, I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, do, 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 do. And she's humming out a little melody that'll remind her of what those lyrics are when she wakes up in the morning. So.
Now, have you taken on to technology quite as easily as she has?
No. No. And for good reason. I mean, really, if you would certainly understand this. The hardest part to the music business for anybody, from any conversation I've ever had, is doing it alone. Yeah. And when I say alone, I mean you being the only one in the family. Nobody else understands it. They pick you up after a show and you're wound right up and you're hyper and they're not, and they're like, "What's going on? Why is what's going on?" So with my wife writing, my wife handles a lot of the social media. She handles the bookings. She handles a lot of the back end stuff. The band needs to get paid. We got to have backline requirements for these shows that we're doing, flights, hotels, all of the other stuff that goes on. She handles it. So, so for me to get involved, and I probably should get more involved, but I just like the fact that she's doing it right now, and our kids get involved, and they got a lot of really cool input and insight on what we do as well. My daughter plays fiddle. My son is really savvy with the computer, so there's a lot of people in the Donny Lee camp over here that nobody ever gets to see.
You got your IT director. That's good. You got to have those. Yeah. Now, Donny, obviously you have some rock music influences, and is it easy for you to pull those out, especially in the new single as well? I mean, you can definitely hear the influence in the song.
You know where most of the influence came from, I believe. I never consider. I always joke whenever someone asks me to sing a rock song. We'll sometimes pull out like a Metallica song, or we'll play a Kid Rock song or whatever. And I always say, okay, but it's going to sound like Waylon Jennings singing AC/DC is what I always say. But the ability to be able to take myself out of my comfort zone and do that took place a couple of years ago in Nashville. I was playing and I got invited to open the brand new Kid Rock honky tonk in Lower Broadway, Nashville, and be one of the house bands. And it was really cool opportunity because they were okay with me flying to all of my shows, and it was pretty much every week, and then come straight back. A lot of times, I joke, and I'm not even kidding, a lot of times I would land at my start time. So my band would bring all my stuff, have it all set up, play the first few songs, and the Uber driver would come in sideways, and I would literally walk right out of the Uber right onto the stage. But when you're playing in a club like Kid Rock's, Kid Rock's a fan of country music. He talks about that kind of stuff all the time. He's recorded some country songs, but when you got somebody yelling out "Ba with the ba" or "Cowboy," there's only so many times you can say no. And if you go and check out any of my YouTube videos or whatever, or even on my Facebook, my wife had a posting that was up there that just flashed up, and it was me walking through the crowd with the wireless microphone, high-fiving everybody, obviously pre-COVID, singing "Ba with the ba." So, that's where it comes from. I don't know that I'm very good at the rock genre, but there's, I guess, a little bit of influence.
Well, I know you got your guitar, and you said something about you might play for us. I don't know that "Ba with the ba" is probably what you're going to play for us today, though, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be. I've got my guitar right here. Let me ask you, what do you want to hear?
I'd love to hear the new single, man. I love it.
The new single. Let's do it. And it's going to sound a little more country with all my nasal blockage and everything. We're battling severe allergies here in Nashville. So, but that's all right. No excuses, only opportunities, right?
There you go.
So here's got me this far. There's a hand-me-down me down Super Sports Bell. His daddy made him promise that he'd never sell. He gave it to me, and then I gave it hell. I still got it. I got a vintage Sears silver tone spinning 45. Songs are long gone, but they make me feel alive. The bottle wears out, but the music never dies. I still got it. You don't throw away your diamond just because it's got some dark stone. Trade in a classic because it's got a little rust. You hold on to the things that matter, no matter whose use of they are. I don't give up on things that got me this far. I don't give up on things that got me this far. I got a tattoo of a cross that I ain't afraid to show. Gets me through the bad and never lets me go. It's written on my arm and carved into my soul. I still got it. You don't throw away your diamond just because it's got some dark stone. Trade in a classic because it's got a little rust. You hold on to the things that matter, no matter the use of they are. I don't give up on things that got me this far. I don't give up on things that got me this far. Granddaddy took my grandma's hand with a table cut stone on 10-carat band. That kind of love's the only kind I understand. Oh, and honey, I'm cut from the very same cloth. Yeah, I swear if you slip it on, we can make it just like they made it. You don't throw away a diamond just because it's got some dark stone. Trade in a classic because it's got a little rust. You hold on to the things that matter, no matter how you so they are. I don't give up on things that got me this far. I don't give up on things that got me this far. Don't give up on things that got me this far. No, don't give up on things that got me this far.
So how do you feel about things that get you this far?
Oh man, every day I get reminded of different things that I mean, you know, I battled in school as a kid. I remember going back home for the very first time to do a show. And it was in a big theater, and it was during Country Music Week up in Canada. And I had no idea, but two of my school teachers showed up at the show, and they were so proud that I wasn't in jail. They were so proud of all of the things that have happened in my life. They got to meet my family. They got to see that things are really going well for us. And you know, they secretly sit on social media and watch the stuff all the time. And every once in a while, they give me a little reminder that you know, life is whatever you put into it. If you want to give up on life, life's going to give up on you. If you want to work for it and you want to reap the rewards, then you got to put in the muscle too. So
before we came on, you mentioned that you've been in Nashville for a minute. How much different has your vision on country music and the industry as a whole changed from the time you came from Canada to where you're at today? So, I mean, my first time coming to Nashville, my band and I had played the Country Music Hall of Fame. I think they called it the Lounge or whatever it was. So it was the go-to place in Nashville. That was back when Music Row still existed, right?
Which is no longer. They got apartments that are all up and all that stuff. But basically, the Country Music Hall of Fame Lounge. Imagine this: my band's on stage, we're playing, and Confederate Railroad's Trashy Women album just went platinum or triple platinum or something. So in comes their whole band and whole crew partying. I believe George Strait's band, George wasn't there, but I believe his band was there and he was in recording something. And then there was, all of these all-stars down there. Now that was back when you would take a CD and you would walk around Music Row and you would hit all the publishers and you would try and get a record deal. The business has changed and everybody, not everybody, I hear a lot of people talk about the negative with the industry because, there's no money in record sales and there's no this and there's no that. Yes, but there's other opportunities. Like you don't need to be owned by a record label. You can really do this independently. Where you live, out in Oklahoma, out in Texas, there are people that that's what they want to hear is independent music. And I'm all for it. I don't know that I would ever have the opportunity. I am a little bit older than a lot of these people. I don't have a little belly button piercing, so I'm not getting hired on age or looks. I'm getting hired on whether the people like the music or not. And results for me show in the fact that I'm able to support my entire family just on my income alone. And that's success. I don't need a record deal. I don't need, to be running around in a brand new Prevost. Am I saying I wouldn't do that? Yeah, well, maybe if it was right, but it's got to be right. I've had the buses. I've had brand new buses. They weren't Prevosts, but they were pretty damn nice buses, so I've done it. But I just love, your question to how has the music changed? I think what it's done is it's opened up borders, almost too many borders, maybe. I don't even know if what I'm listening to is, I don't know what genre it is, but I know whether I like it or if I don't like it. And that's really all that matters. I don't need to put on a cowboy hat or cowboy boots to be considered country. I just want to play music. I want people to enjoy my music. I happen to think that I fit very well in the country brand. Right. That is what I'm a fan of. But again, it's all in the ears of the beholder. So, I welcome the changes. I just hope that the changes don't bring on major problems. Right now, to this point, I'm okay with it. I like the fact that everything's available digitally. But what I don't like is you lose the artistry when you only download Got Me This Far. You got to hear the entire album. You got to find out who that artist is that you're digging. People got to, and I mention this all the time, they got a playlist for when they go work out in the gym. They got a playlist for when they're driving in the car. They got a playlist for when they're out at the lake. Whatever. Everyone's got a different playlist. Listen to the entire album. Did you hear Alan Jackson's brand new album he just came out with? Yeah. It's great. It's great. I heard a lot of great things, and there's some good cuts on Eric Church's brand new album. There's a lot of great stuff out there, but you got to listen to the whole thing. So
that sounds like the songwriter in coming out in you, right?
Well, I'm a fan too. I'm a fan as well. That's what it really is. I remember when you would go and listen to an old vinyl or CD or whatever, and you hear the stories, Brooks and Dunn. When they had a Brand New Man pitched to them, it wasn't even called Brand New Man. It was called I'm a Changed Man, and you get to hear all these stories about it's fascinating. It draws you in. It's like it's more sticky stuff to make you hold on to the song. I love it.
Now, for you, what is your favorite part of the writing process? Is it the inspiration part of it, or is it the collab work?
It's definitely the collaboration, but the collaboration is also the most frustrating part, because sometimes you have two different ideas and everybody, or three different ideas, and everybody's fighting for their belief of the direction that it goes. But at the end of the day, let's be honest, if we're writing a song and it's got my name on it, then it has to be my direction, or I'm out. I'm not writing for other people. I'm writing for me. And funny thing, my wife and I, our first project, we wrote all but one of the songs on the album. And the most popular one by far that I still get requested at the live shows and everything was I think the third song we ever wrote together, and it's called "Chip in a Chair." It's got a real Travis Tritt kind of TROUBLE kind of feel to it, and we got a video from South Korea.
Wow.
They're line dancing to your song "Chip in a Chair" in South Korea, and I'm like, what? How do they even hear this song? And then I get another one from Disneyland in Paris. They're teaching line dance lessons to Donny Lee, "Chip in a Chair" in Paris. And I'm like, I never even put this to radio. How is this going on? So you get all these cool little things. And that's just from collaborating with someone else. My wife had an idea. My wife actually wrote the majority of 16 Souls, which was a song that we wrote for the Humboldt Broncos. There was a tragedy in Humboldt, Saskatchewan, where a junior hockey team was in where they were T-boned by a semi, and 16 players and staff of the team ended up passing away. And it was such a fresh song that when we wrote it, one of the trainers hadn't passed away yet, so we wrote the song as 15 Souls. My wife was flying from Canada to here, and had this song she wrote on the plane coming here. And I had to sit down and put the guitar to it. And we obviously made, some changes to it that we just felt were necessary in the process. And immediately before the next day, when the song became 16 Souls, because we had to change it, 500,000 streams.
Wow.
On Facebook. On Facebook, it was shared all over the place. And the youngest player on the team, Adam Harold, his family called us and asked us to run to the studio if we could and record it for the funeral that was broadcasted a lot nationally, internationally. Actually, we had people from Ireland that had seen it. So we ran into the studio 6 o'clock the next morning and had it for the funeral, but before 11 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's just how fast music goes. And when you get passionate about something and somebody sees there's a purpose behind it, collaborating is an amazing thing.
And how much more important has it become to be able to do things remotely and to have the ability to record some stuff at home and be able to send that stuff off as well?
That's been easy because let's be real. I don't have an office. My life is the road. My life is wherever we are. We wrote a song called "Gypsy in My Blood," and that's a song that the whole family all believe. Like, we are our happiest when we are going somewhere. Yeah, we love sitting down with grandma and with family and seeing people. I mean, that all happens. That's part of the destination of moving around and being somewhere. But let's be real. Sometimes the most quality you can have with somebody is when you haven't seen them in a little while, and you don't take those moments for granted when you do finally see them, right? So to sit down and write, to sit down and record, to sit down and we record all over the place. We record all over the place. We might do tracks. We'll fly up to this station for this album and this studio for this album, and it just changes all the time.
That's funny. Now, Donny, if folks want to find out more information, obviously the tour dates, as those become available, the new music, the entire album as well, they need that information. Yeah. And social media, where's the best place?
Everything's Donny Lee Music. So DONNYLEE Music. And that's DonnyLeeMusic.com. That's Donny Lee Music for socials. It's really nice and easy. Heck, you can even go ahead and email me if you want. It's DonnyLeeMusic@gmail. I'll tell you, I don't care. That's one thing we do probably better than anything is we keep in contact with our fans. It's amazing. We got some people. I'm almost embarrassed to even call them fans anymore. We've had so much dialogue back and forth. I feel like we know them so well. So yeah,
that's one of
Donny Lee Music.
That's one of the bonuses of social media, isn't it, if it's done right?
Yeah, it really is, and that's part of the changes that you were talking about earlier in the business. We the first thing we did when COVID hit, and I didn't even realize it. My family and we all had COVID. the day of my first Facebook Live right after the lockdown.
Wow.
We all had it. I just knew I wasn't feeling really good. I was kind of like, I don't know if I can actually do this or not. And, kind of had a rough patch there. But we did a Facebook Live for 4 hours that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a glutton for punishment, huh?
Yeah. So, but it's all part of it. Well, I've definitely been sicker, but there are some people that have been a lot sicker than ever, with it as well. So we got it not as bad. My wife had it the worst, and to be honest with you, it's not near as bad as any of the stories you've heard out there from other people. So we're all thankful that we're healthy. But the part talking about what we're talking about, not COVID, is everything's mobile. The business has changed. We can be face to face like this. We've done Zoom parties, so we'll do the Facebook Live, and we'll say,
right.
If you'd like to show your face, then we've got this set up over here, and we get to see everybody in their little boxes, and people have their drinks with them, and they're sitting there at their home, and just got us up on the big screen and the sound system, and it's a lot of fun. You can be creative in how you do this for sure.
That's right. We've all learned to do things just a bit different, as you can tell by my surroundings. I would have never, 15 months ago, I would have said, you're out of your mind. There's no way.
And you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I've done a lot of these over the last little while, and people talking about being from home and all that stuff. I kind of feel like I'm walking in at the same level as you, which is more comforting. It really is. I get to see you comfortable, and I'm more comfortable because you're comfortable. Does that make sense? When we walk into the studio and it's like, hey, I'm here for they're like, who the heck are you? And, the reception, looking at the coffee and donuts and going, oh man, I haven't eaten yet. I wonder if I can get a cup of coffee. Or no, don't ask. Just walk in, get in the studio, do your stuff, and get out.
and I even learned as we got comfortable with the Zoom that I always keep my face off as the artist is coming in. I keep my little logo up there, and I greet them with their own music. So at least they get a good image to start with, and then they get to hear their own music, so they get to be a little buffered down, if you will.
Yeah, no, that's great. Like I said, though, I don't like to hear me. I wish you would add somebody better on.
That's awesome. Well, Donny, it's been great to catch up with you today, man. I have really enjoyed the visit, and look forward to getting you out somewhere nearby here in the near future.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen sooner than later, which is a great thing. It's nice to see, even New York's opening up. I just played out in California a couple of weeks ago, and I couldn't believe that we had the show that we had out there, and it was incredible. There's a lot of dates that are opening up. We've just now solidified the 20th anniversary of 9/11 is going to be down at a theater in the Orlando area, an amphitheater that we're going to be playing with some bigger names, and there's those road shows are now starting to happen. We got some people over in Australia that are ready for us to come back. Just have to wait till the restrictions ease up there. Obviously up in Canada. So we're getting there. Things are moving in the right direction. So I look forward to sitting down with you face to face, and whether that be in your office or we grab a coffee somewhere, whatever. But yeah, definitely look forward to meeting you in person.
Thanks again for joining us for this 85th episode of Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, maybe anything else you'd like to know, you can hit me up on the contact page at gqwithcam.com. You can also find me on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, all at GQ with Cam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, you can visit the merch store where you find hoodies, shirts, mugs, tumblers, stickers, and more. That's at gqwithcam.com/shop. Of course, if you have a special guest idea, go ahead and email me, gqwithcam@gmail.com. Thanks again to our good friend Brandon Allen for coming up with our theme music. We're going to let him play us out and hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday evening.